So we're going to actually review now the process of how Congress turns a bill into a law. So it's going to be a quick little flow chart. It's going to show you the House of Reps on the left-hand side and the Senate on the right. It could go through at the same time on each side, or it might go through one side first and then the other side. So it's important for you to kind of know that as we go through. First things first, only members of Congress can introduce bills. Regular citizens can express like their desires, but only a rep or a senator can introduce a bill. So the first step is that a member of the House of Reps introduces a bill. But when a member of the House of Reps introduces a bill, you have to have a colleague on the Senate side that's also willing to introduce a similar bill. Because in order for a law to become a law, both House and the Senate have to agree to it. So you have to maintain some relationships with people in the other house. So a bill is introduced in the House, and let's say a fellow senator is going to introduce a similar bill. In the House of Representatives, the first thing that happens is the bill is assigned to a committee. So that's why the committees are so important, is because they have the ability to be like the screeners of all the proposals. Again, it gives the majority party a huge advantage. So the entire House is not seeing the proposal. It goes to the most relevant committee. So if it's a transportation related bill, it goes to the transportation committee. So one of the things that can happen is that when you propose a bill and it's sent to a committee, you lose control of the bill at that point. That particular committee can make changes to the bill generally. And it's important to note that most bills that are sent to a committee just die in that committee. They never go any further. And that's called pigeonholing a bill. Now, one of the things that can happen in the House of Reps is that you can force a bill out of a particular committee by doing what's called a discharge petition. This requires a majority of the reps to actually vote to force the bill out of committee. The other thing that happens is that if it makes it past the committee, it goes to a group called the Rules Committee, which is a special committee in the House we've already briefly talked about. And they can decide how long the bill is going to be debated by the general members of the House. They also can determine if an open or closed rule is attached to the bill. If they attach an open rule to the bill, that means that changes can be made as you go down the process to the actual proposal. If they attach a closed rule to the bill, that means that you're voting on it as is. No changes can be made from this point forward. The same thing would be happening in the Senate. A proposed bill would be sent to the most relevant committee. And again, most bills die in committee. If it makes it out of committee, the bill will be sent to the entire House for the first time that all the reps have a chance to debate and vote on a particular bill. And the same thing would be happening on the Senate side if it makes it out of the committee on the Senate side. The entire Senate would get to debate and vote on the proposed bill. All right. Because changes can be made in the House committees and the Senate committees, it's possible that by the time you get down here for a vote, you're actually talking about different versions of the bill because different changes have been made in the House compared to the Senate. So you have to form what's called a conference committee. This is a temporary committee made up of both reps and senators that would iron out differences that may exist between the two bills. The conference committee would then kick the bill that is now uniform, it's the same, because they've resolved any kind of differences, back to the entire House for debate and vote, and the entire Senate for debate and vote. This is when, if you're a senator, when a filibuster can actually take place. That's why it's so frustrating. You defy the odds and you make it through all of these steps only to have an individual senator like filibuster the bill. If the bill is then voted on in the House and approved and then the Senate, it then goes to the president's desk and the president has the ability to either sign the bill and it becomes law, or he could veto the bill. If he vetoes the bill, obviously it goes back to each House of Congress. And if each House of Congress approves the bill with now a 2/3 vote instead of a majority vote, you can override the presidential veto. So this is the major process of how a bill becomes a law. It shows you the significance of the committee system because they're kind of like the screeners of all the proposed bills. It also shows you some of the differences. Like, for example, you have the ability to do a discharge petition in the House. You can't do that in the Senate. There's a Rules Committee in the House. There's none in the Senate. And then you can filibuster in the Senate. You can't do that in the House.